Hey guys, Savage Joy here with Real Progressives. Tonight I am joined by a gentleman who is a Medicare for All activist, Mr. Andy Brodock. He is joining us from Maryland. I forgot to say I'm in Pennsylvania, so I'm not too far from you.
Right.
But I initially saw Andy in a Bernie Sanders video. And he shared his personal story about why he wants Medicare for All and his family's personal struggles. So thank you so much for joining us tonight, Andy. I knew I had to reach out to you the second I saw you speak because it's I hope that the more personal experiences people see, the more they'll understand how badly we need Medicare for all. So do you just kind of want to introduce yourself and share your story?
Yeah, I will definitely do that. But yes, the more people that tell their story, the more people will understand. And I think that the thing that's going to hit the most is this is I have a tragic story, sure, but so does everybody. This isn't just me. Everybody knows somebody who can't afford their medication. Everybody knows somebody who skips treatment because they can't afford it. So yeah, we can't keep this up. Um, so my wife Naomi and I got married in college. Um, we had we were living in Illinois at the time. Then we moved back to Michigan to be close to my grandmother who was dying of cancer. And um, she got a job. I got a job. We were doing everything right. She had great health insurance. And then she got sick. And when she got sick, she um, was losing a lot of blood. We took her to the doctor. The doctor was like, "Hey, she needs to go to the emergency room right now." And we're like, "She's at work," because she was crazy. They're like, "We don't know how she's conscious. She can't even drive herself to the hospital. She has to go right now." So we called a friend, had them come over, take care of our kids. Two kids at this point. They're 2 and 4. So a friend comes over and we're freaking out. She was in the hospital for a week and they had no idea where the blood was coming from. They just knew she was bleeding. They did an endoscopy, which is down the throat, because they thought maybe stomach ulcers and nothing. And then finally they did a colonoscopy. And I remember the doctor walked in, it's Dr. Gupta, remember his name, sat us down and said, "I'm glad that we did it, but I'm not glad with what we found." And they found a massive tumor right inside, just inside her rectum. Is immediate. He's like, "This is definitely stage 2 cancer." Those that don't know cancer staging, stage 2 is local advanced. It's definitely stage 2 at least. If it's in the lymph nodes, it's stage 3. If it's spread someplace else, it's stage 4. So we'll have to do a lot more scans. Other scans revealed it had spread to her lungs already. So she had stage 4 rectal cancer, which starts this whole process. You enter this whole world, and your whole normal becomes different. You learn words you never thought you'd need to know. So cancer treatment right now in America is chemotherapy, surgery, radiation. That's what we got. Starting to do immunotherapy, it's cutting edge, but so that's what we did. We did surgeries, we did radiation, chemotherapy, and she was not able to work as a result of this. Like, she would get a chemotherapy injection, and then for 5 days she'd be in bed, and so you can't work. There's no job that would allow for that. So she lost her job. She was working in a factory, so she lost that, which meant that she lost her health care, because in America, healthcare is tied to your job, and if you're too sick to work, you're too sick. Um, at the time, we're in pretty bad shape. I mean, the Affordable Care Act was just on the horizon. Maybe it was going to pass, maybe it wasn't. Um, so we were like, "Oh, what are we going to do?" Now she's lost her job. She has a pre-existing condition. That's going to make her ineligible for future things. She's going to, what do we do? So we talked to a social worker. Social worker told us we have a couple of options. We can just go through the treatment. do all the treatment that we need to do, and just let the medical bills pile up. Don't pay them, and then declare medical bankruptcy. That's your option. Or since you make too much money, because I was making $25,000 a year at the time. I had insurance at work, but it would have been half of my income to insure my family. Um, so that was not an option. It was $10,000 deductible, and I was only making $25,000 a year. So that wasn't going to work. So she's like, okay, well, you could get divorced, and then you wouldn't have to worry about Andy's income. It would only be your income, which is nothing, so that you would qualify for Medicaid. So those were the options we were given at the time. But the Affordable Care Act came through. It expanded Medicaid in Michigan, so she was able to get coverage through Medicaid, and that was great until we moved to Maryland. And then I got a job where I could finally afford health insurance, which I assumed was going to be better than her being on government insurance, because that's what the narrative is, that private insurance is better than government insurance. Turns out, no, it's not. Whenever we would go into the doctor when she had Medicaid, it was like, okay, whatever she needs, tests, surgery, everything. Doesn't matter. There's no pre-authorization. Everything is paid for. Don't worry about it. But now that we're on private insurance, that's not true. She has a scan coming up. We have to make sure that the scan gets approved. Even though the doctor needs to see what's inside her to know, if she's dying or not, that would be helpful for her prognosis. But that we have to make sure that the insurance company is cool with that first. At one point, her doctor wanted to back off her chemotherapy. She was doing well. So he was like, all right, we're giving you a lot of drugs. It's making you very sick. So why don't we give you less drugs? See if that helps you. And the insurance company said, no, you have to give her all of the drugs in order for this to work. So we had to appeal that every time she would go in for an injection, which was every month, we would have to go and appeal it. It'd be like 2 weeks, maybe she'd get the injection, maybe the appeal had gone through in time, maybe it hadn't, maybe we'd have to wait a couple of days. So we never knew if she was going to actually get treatment when we went to the cancer center or not, because we weren't sure if that appeal had gone through for that injection. It was awful. Anyone who's been through this knows it's the most stressful thing in the world to worry about cancer and to fight that. And then on top of that, you feel like you're fighting the insurance company. At one point, Naomi posted on Facebook, I hate to be this cynical, but I feel like the insurance company is trying to kill me. And they have a financial incentive for her to die because they're paying lots of money to keep her alive. And she's like, I hate to think that, but it really feels that way. And I really understand why she feels that way, or why she felt that way. Later, she ended up getting a second cancer. And then that cancer eventually took her life. She died in November of 2017.
How old was she?
She was 32.
I'm so sorry. That's heartbreaking. And the thing that's always so awful is people who are sick, they're the emotional trauma of all of this exacerbates every single thing they're feeling physically.
Yeah, it's the most, like I said, there's nothing worse than dying. And the second cancer, squamous cell carcinoma, was in her tongue, and it was so painful. Like, she was in constant pain. There was nothing that they could do to stop her from being in pain. And she lost the ability to speak, and she was still fighting with the insurance companies to try to get them to pay. They wanted to give her Opdivo, which is an immunotherapy drug, but it wasn't approved for her cancer, even though it had success in clinical trials with her cancer and had been approved by the FDA for lots of other cancers, not for her cancer. So they want to give it to her. So she's trying to fight with them. Well, she has a trach, so she's like covering her trach and on the phone trying to talk to the insurance company to get them to pay for it.
Um, that's incredible. The um The one thing I wanted to ask about, and I apologize if this is too invasive, but how are your kids doing? Like, how are, I it broke my heart when I found out you guys have two kids.
We do. Edison and Julia. Eddie's 10 now, and Julia's 8. So fourth and second grade. They're as good as you could expect. I mean, they're both in therapy, which I think is helping somebody other than me to talk to. Eddie at one point was like, I would talk to you, Dad, but I don't like it when you're sad. And I'm like, well, I get it. Like, I don't want to tell you these things because I don't want you to be sad when I tell you that I'm sad about Mom. But and it's crazy, but it's like Julia grew up knowing that her mom was sick and that there's a chance that her mom wasn't going to be around forever. We were very open about it. I mean, she had a very physical cancer. She was in the bathroom a lot with incontinence, so it wasn't like we could or she'd go have chemo and be gone for 5 days in bed. It's not like we could hide it.
Sure.
So we were very open with them the whole time. Hey, this is happening. Um, so it was kind of like her life. She was 2 when she was diagnosed. So there wasn't that. But Eddie remembers really well what it was like before Mom was really sick. And he really thought she was going to get better. You talked about that a lot. That so I feel like he takes it harder than she does, but she's also a little bit more expressive. But they're good. We do martial arts together. It's their
Oh, that's awesome.
um,
Do you see her in your kids?
yeah, especially Julia. Eddie, I think, reminds me more of me, but Julia just has that stubborn tenacity that I mean, she looks a lot like her mom, which helps, but she just will just be like, no, and like it's just like you're being your mom right now, and there's the things that and it's wonderful. It's wonderful that it still feels like she's here.
You
Even,
look like, I mean, your son is a doppelganger of you. I was like,
yeah,
whoa, is he like sitting down and that's him?
yeah,
What?
yeah.
You
It
guys look a lot alike.
we really
So,
unfortunately can.
self-deprecating just fell after my own heart. You have a lot of support in the comments, so definitely check these out after the show. Um, how did Bernie find you and ask you to be in the video?
Yeah, so I am an advocate, like you said, for Medicare for All. I've been working with an organization here in DC called Social Security Works. I'm going to plug them, socialsecurityworks.org. Go through that website. You can find ways to get involved in your local community. Also, they do a lot of activist work in DC. They helped write and sponsor Congressman Joe Gold Social Security or Medicare for All bill. So I got in touch with them, their CEO Alex Lawson, but we were looking for an organization to donate money to in Naomi's memory. Because I was like, I don't want my house full of flowers reminding that are gonna die and remind me about death. So let's not do the flowers thing. So we knew we were gonna donate to an organization called World Vision. We sponsor a kid through World Vision. Had always done that. So like that's one thing for all of our Christian friends that they can go and donate to. But we really wanted to do a Medicare for All. So there were a couple of options, but theirs seemed like it was the best fit for Naomi. And in the time since, it was literally the best decision that we could have made. They're so great there. But it was working with them. Alex does a lot of stuff with Bernie's team, so he got me in touch with them, and we did the video, and then since then I spoke at a rally, and then I was on MSNBC.
What do you think Naomi would think about being in Bernie's video?
Oh my God, she would love it so much. She was a huge Bernie Sanders supporter. And we fought about that a little bit because I was like, but I mean, is it really going to happen though? Like these ideas seem so great. He's too good. Like
Yeah.
there's no way. So we would bicker about that a little bit, but um, no, yeah, she loved the idea. but this was her thing. Um, she was a politician. She was a political science major in college.
Oh.
Yeah, she really, really loved government and how it all worked and all the gross things about it. And so she would have loved this. She would have been so much better at it than I am. I just hope that she's not here.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's pretty beautiful how she was so knowledgeable about Medicare for All, and she was passionate about it even prior to her needing it. That's pretty amazing that she was educated on that because a lot of people aren't. I mean, now they are.
Yeah, but you'd be surprised how many people still don't understand fully what we're trying to do here. I had gotten a couple of Facebooks about it, but those go so well. You don't lose
Mhm.
Facebook arguments at all. But like just not understanding, like we're not advocating for like just giving Medicare as it currently is to everybody. We're not looking for an 80-20. That's not where we're at. We want universal health care called Medicare that covers everyone every time. We want doctors to be in charge of medical decisions, not insurance companies. I don't want an insurance company having a say when they have a financial incentive to say no. I don't want them to be in the room making medical decisions with me. I want my doctors who know my case to make my medical decisions. So we're advocating for 100% coverage of 100% of Americans 100% of
Absolutely. I think some people don't get it because they haven't needed it,
yeah.
unfortunately.
Or like they think it's a pie in the sky pipe dream that's just never going to happen. They'll think I don't understand why so many people are so quick to defend insurance companies, but then you get around the water cooler or at the barbecue and they can't say enough bad things about how they had to fight with their insurance company again. I just like, where's the cognitive dissonance here that you can't see that this company does not have your best interest at heart? They simply do not. And you have no say in the insurance company. If the government gets a little like you get annoyed with the government, at least you can call your congressman and complain to them. You can vote them out of office. There are things you can do when it's the government. There's nothing you can do with Cigna. There's nothing you can do with Blue Cross. They are there. They're gonna do what they're gonna do. You have no say.
Absolutely. I've worked in healthcare for almost 10 years, so I see this crap every day, and like I'm the biggest Medicare for All person. That's why I use a fake name on
You should.
social media. I have a fake last name, uh,
Yeah,
because
you
I'll be
don't
like,
learn
"Yeah,
well.
that won't work well." But
That,
yeah, I mean, I see this shit all the time, and it's so upsetting. I work with a lot of people on Medicaid and Medicare, and I've seen that where they're like literally $100 over poverty,
yeah,
so they
we
can't get Medicaid.
I think we made like $500 too much a year. It was really ridiculously close.
Wow, that's so heartbreaking. And poverty is like, why are you being judged on at a poverty level? Like, you have to be poor to get help. Like, how does that make sense?
We weren't making a lot of money. Like I said, I was making $25,000 a year, and with my income alone, it was too much because of her disability payment. Like it was like we weren't banking, like we weren't making $100,000 a year. Like it was so like mind by how are we not? We're the poor people. Why aren't we getting coverage? It was ridiculous.
So when she was awarded Social Security, that does not automatically give you Medicaid.
It didn't. No, it didn't at the time. Until the Affordable Care Act expanded Medicaid coverage, and some states haven't done that. They still haven't done that. It doesn't automatically give you disability. Doesn't automatically give you Medicaid. You still have to make not enough money. Deposit.
Yes, I believe in Pennsylvania it's 2 years that you have to be on Social Security disability in order to qualify for Medicaid. You
It's
would think
never in the
the
United
two
States,
go
so
hand in
it's crazy.
hand.
It's great. It shouldn't be. It should be. It's a national policy. It should be the same for everybody, but it is not.
Absolutely. Wow. Let me see here. Um, so you talked a little bit about social media, and some people, I jumped in on one guy on your thread because he was pissing me off. But some people can
I'm big
be,
on that.
totally ignorant assholes. But have you found that as a whole, people have been very receptive?
Yes. Even people that you wouldn't expect to be. Most people, even if they disagree with my policy and my like what I think should happen, they can't disagree with my story. And I think that that's what we really need to take away. Like they say, I totally understand how horrible this was for you, but we're still not going to do Medicare. Like, okay, I can't follow you there, but at least no. But they've been very supportive. There's only like one or two people, and they have been blocked. I just couldn't handle it anymore. Um, that have been they're only supportive of this. Even people who I know don't agree, that they're very conservative, still are like, we're still going to support you, because this is important.
Right, right. I think, Bernie did a great job as far as like making people understand even what it is. But I as someone with medical needs, I do fear that he is the only person out of the 22 running who I feel would actually, you know, really, really fight for this.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Um, because everyone else is signing on to his plan because like he's the one with the plan. And I mean, it's really the test. Do you support Medicare for all and Bernie Sanders, or do you not? And it's pretty split right now. Um, yeah, it's horrible, but he's the one that's gonna push it. He's not. This has been his fight. He's not gonna back down. He's not just using this to get elected. This is
Right.
what he actually cares about. And I don't know that I can say that for everyone who signed on. I know there's some who definitely are like, yes, this is our fight too, but not everybody.
And I think, even watching speeches and such, like Elizabeth Warren has walked it back,
Yeah,
Kamala Harris has walked it back. These like we need to go with a person who's actually fought for it for decades, written the legislation. Um, so I mean, did I assume you saw Addie his video?
yeah,
That was Yeah, that was bad. I think
yeah.
most of us
Actually,
just cried in the fetal position for
wearing
like
my
3
Medicare
days.
shirt right now. And my Medicare plan fell down. Yeah, Addie is awesome. He was at the nurses rally that I spoke at last Monday, and he spoke too. And then I was in the overflow room on Capitol Hill when he was giving his testimony at the House hearing, and it was really powerful. And like, I could not. It was hard. It was hard to watch because I mean it was so powerful and so spot on. I was just like, I don't know. He's gifted, and it's gonna
Yeah,
be lost to the world when he passes.
absolutely. He's just a beautiful soul, and we are so lucky to have him. And he's just amazing. Um, did you see the picture of Nancy Pelosi with her arm around him?
A little, yeah, and you feel a little bit like, because she's also the one who's like, I'm agnostic on Medicare. Like, really, you can't
She's
you
the one
can't
who's blocking it.
get the photo op here, but yeah, right, you're the one who's standing in the way. But I mean, in reality, it's not gonna like that bill's not gonna make it through. Even if it makes it to the House, it's not gonna make it through the Senate. It's certainly not gonna make it past Donnie. So I mean, we're not in a place right now where this can happen. It's 2021 that this is gonna happen. So
I agree. It just enraged me so badly because like I can't stand her to begin with, but I posted, if if Addie's speech is touching you, the way that you're saying it is, then you need to vote for Bernie because Addie supports Bernie, and that says a lot. Like he's the one that so many people I talk to who need Medicare for all, um, they go with Bernie because, and I mean, that speaks volumes.
Yeah.
So,
He doesn't have a problem with taking on the people who are benefiting the most from it, and it's the 1%. Like those are the people who are benefiting from our broken insurance policy. Alex likes to say it's broken on purpose, and it is. It is broken so that these insurance companies can make obscene profits at our expense. They make their profits by denying care. That's how they do it. Um, and just so you get these denials, and then sure you can appeal, but that doesn't mean you're going to win. It's crazy. It's crazy that you would put a company that wants to make money, that has to make money. It's beholden to stockholders to make money in charge of people's healthcare because they're going to make their money by denying care, and that's I don't know understand why people don't understand that.
right, absolutely. And that's why I think one of the best things that could happen if Bernie's elected is to get money, big money out of politics. Because I fear things like this are not going to happen until we stop taking, you know, pharmaceutical money and things like that. Um, I actually had a young man here on here last month who's in the UK, and he's, they've had universal health care since like
Right.
1941. And he's like, I don't understand why you guys don't have it. He couldn't comprehend.
So all of my Facebook friends say that it's awful over there and that Canada has awful healthcare. It's just like you don't know. You've not been to these places and you're making statements about how, but they don't pay for it. Like
Right.
they it's taxed, obviously, but we're not talking free here. We're going to pay for it, but we're going to pay for it for everybody. And we spend more money already than they do. And we don't have better results because we don't have the access. There are people who simply cannot afford it. They put off things. One thing I wanted to say, there's no way to say for sure that things would have been different had Medicare for All always been a thing. Like he can't say that. I can't say that Naomi would still be alive today, but there are specific points in her treatment that if I were to look back on and say, what if? What if she didn't have to wait for the Opdivo, the immunotherapy drug that did have some success? If that had been administered earlier, would that have helped? When she was pregnant for Julia, she had started to show some symptoms, and this has been 2 years before she was diagnosed. But she didn't have insurance at the time. She wasn't working yet. Had she gone in then, would things have been different? Would they have been able to catch it when it was stage one, not stage four? Those are the questions that keep me up at night. And I know that those are the problems that a lot of Americans are dealing with right now because they're sick, and they don't know how sick they are, and they're afraid to go find out because they don't want to lose their house. They don't want to put a financial strain on their kids. I mean, how many stories have you read recently about people choosing to die over care because it's too expensive? It's so broken. Lives are so much more, are worth so much more than that, and we need to prioritize this. This is if we say that we are who we are as a country, as a nation, we need to live that. We need to do that, and we are not right now.
Absolutely. Um, what can we as the people, what can we do?
There are so many
You're
things.
going to give us the answer to
There,
everything.
um, there are things that you can do, and there are things that are less scary than other things. So you can call your congressman, you can complain to them. They will take your call. The staffer will answer your call. They have to answer everyone's call. And they will report that, hey, someone from one of your constituents complained. That happens. Do that. Vote. Vote, vote, vote. Don't think it doesn't matter. It matters. Vote. And tell people who you're voting for. If you support Sanders, tell people you support Sanders. Don't yell at them. Just explain to them why you do it. But other than that, that might be scary for some people. But you can tell your story because, like I said at the beginning, I have a tragic story, but so do you. You know somebody who's struggling right now who can't afford their bills. You do. Everyone in America will need healthcare at some point. When you're born, when you die, at some point in the between, you're gonna need healthcare. Everyone is gonna need it. Everyone has a story about how they couldn't pay for something, how their insurance company misbilled something, and how stressful that was. Tell those stories. Tell them to anybody who will listen and commiserate with people. And then be like, hey, wouldn't it be great if we had Medicare for all? Like we wouldn't have to worry about this. Yeah, put that plug in there. Also, if you're looking to get involved even more, I mentioned socialsecurityworks.org. Go to that website. There's places, there's a link to where you can get involved locally. People's Action is another, they're all over the country. So definitely check them out. They do a lot of grassroots work to try to change things.
And how do you organize rallies and stuff? Do you reach out to groups or do you just organize it on social media yourself?
This I was a part of someone else's rally. It was organized by National Nurses United. And then they got together with People's Action, and they were both planning to do a rally in front of pharma at the same time. And then they're like, well, they were just kind of this standoff and like, oh wait, maybe we should do it together. And like, yeah, we should do it together. So I got to be involved with that. So and I haven't been on the rally. That sounds stressful.
Well, I loved looking because I creeped your Facebook page,
Yeah,
obviously.
obviously.
And I love looking at the photos of your wife because she seemed like a free spirit. I don't know how else to describe her. She just came across as a total free spirit.
She was great. Um, she loved everybody, and she argued with everybody. How you knew she loved you was that she challenged you. You didn't come to the table and talk to Naomi unless you knew what you were talking about, because she would call you on it every time. To paint a picture, I was a Republican when we met, so like she'll get you. Definitely challenged my worldview time and time again, and really opened my heart to a lot of things, and showed me where what I said and what I wanted weren't the same thing. Like, you say you want this, but your actions aren't supporting that, and you need to change. She had no problem calling people on that, but definitely was a free spirit. She loved life. She would just randomly burst into song. Like, someone would say a lyric, it sounded like a song lyric, and she'd just sing that song. I just stuff like that. That's the stuff.
That's amazing. Do your kids come with you when you do rallies?
They had school, so they did not get to come. And I think that they would have thought it was cool when I was doing my part, which was like, 2 minutes of this hour-long thing. So like they would have been like, yeah, this was really cool. For this part, can we go home now? Like their attention is not quite where it needs to be for prolonged thing. But I would like to bring them, but not yet.
What do you want to add that we haven't discussed, either about your story or what we can do to bring, more awareness to this cause?
Um, I just I want to just remind people of how bad insurance companies are. Like, I don't feel like I've said up enough bad things about them yet. Sorry, I know you work in healthcare, but
Oh, these guys know. I
yeah, I
don't hold back.
remember like right after I did the video with Bernie for the first time, I sat down with a friend who works at an insurance company. I was like, I'm actively working to end your entire industry. But just like the thought of how often they can deny your care, just I that's not okay. Um, when somebody who has a financial incentive for you to not get treatment has a say in you not getting treatment, that's not okay. We have to change this. The system is not sustainable the way it is. It's designed to keep people and poor. Like, think about, why do you pay premiums? Why do you pay deductibles? Why do you pay co-insurance? I'm not trying to be a conspiracist here. It's so you don't use your insurance that you're paying for. That's why you have deductibles and why you have co-insurance. It's to disincentive you. Like, they don't need the extra $50, $100 for you to go to they already took thousands of dollars from you. They don't need that money to cover that office visit. They don't want you to go. They want to keep your money. We need to change the system.
Absolutely. That's a really great point. Um, there's a really good discussion in the comments. So definitely check that out afterwards.
Okay.
Um, okay, cool. So, do you want to give your, you don't have a website, right? Just
I
like a
do
Twitter
not.
and a Facebook?
Yeah. Just Twitter and Facebook. I'm not cool yet.
What's your, do you want to give your Twitter out?
Yeah, it's just at Andy Brodock, so ANDYBRODOCK. And then Facebook's the same. Yeah, you can reach out to me. It's at Andy Brodock. Oh,
And I shared your Bernie video on Facebook and Twitter.
okay.
You guys, if you're watching this, I thank you. Please share this though, because I really do think that the more people learn our personal stories, the more they can it's just reading an article with statistics doesn't really resonate with people. And the more things like this they're exposed to, hopefully the more they'll understand how devastating, the insurance companies are. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you so much, Andy. You're just
Of
a
course.
beautiful person and you're amazing. So thank you so much for doing what you do and keep going. You kick ass.
Thank you. I will try.
Absolutely. Friday, I have Douche coming back on. Sans Peter Douche. Now he is Douche because Peter Douche actually became somewhat of a Bernie supporter, oddly enough. So he's coming back Friday. I have a gentleman from Palestine coming on next week who will be talking about the divide between them and Israel. And I have a candidate from California coming on Monday. So thank you guys again for watching, and thank you again, Andy.
Anytime.